war.
Oh, hey, Stone Guardian, what do you... Sup?
Were you playing Sonic 2 on your phone again?
What? No,
You were playing it, weren't you?
I wasn't, actually.
Yes, you were. I can hear the music playing.
What do you care anyway?
You should be making the Acclaim vs. Stone Sword guide.
True. It's just that... I'm in a time attack right now, and
Turn off the game and make the freaking video.
You know what? I don't have to do what you say. You don't own me. You don't freaking... In fact, I edited you into this video. I can easily...
Enough. If I can't persuade you to make the video, then I'll have to make you do it by force. Let the battle begin.
Whoa, what do you... Hey guys, what is going on? It is me, BikuriBox12 here, and welcome back to another Realm of the Mad God guide video. Now that I'm finally done fighting that guy, we can get back to the Month of the Mad God Marathon. If you haven't seen part 1, you should go check that out. It's the most recent video in my playlist, and it should clear some things up, because I will not be discussing Acclaim as in-depth as I did then, as I will now. But just for a quick recap, the Sword of Acclaim has a damage range of 220 to 275. I said that it was the best tiered sword out there, and just all around one of the best swords in general. Now let's take a look at the Ancient Stone Sword. How are these two swords different, you ask? Well, let's take a look at the damage. Ancient Stone Sword has a damage range of 340 to 390. Imagine Acclaim, but 6 tiers up. That is the Stone Sword if we're looking at damage. Holy, that's a lot. A warrior with maxed attack and maybe a pally buff can be doing over 1,000 damage per shot with this thing. That's crazy. But there's a catch. In exchange for all of this great damage, we also lose 40% rate of fire. No! We're shooting almost half the speed of Acclaim. That's very noticeable whenever you've been shooting around a tier 1 through 12 sword, and then all of a sudden you switch over to Ancient Stone Sword and you realize how slow this thing really is. I'm not kidding. You might just think that I'm over-exaggerating. It's slow. Maybe you won't mind it as much, especially if you're not maxed on dex, but oh man. Again, I'll be pulling you guys on over to the DPS calculator because it's just a wonderful little application there. You can see here that the Acclaim is still doing more damage, more DPS than the Stone Sword pretty much along the entire graph. Once again, it's only whenever we get to about over 100 def where it really starts to even out and then Stone Sword starts to go above. But you're not going to be fighting those enemies nearly as much as everything else, so what's the point at all? Most new players, in fact every new player, is going to be fighting everything towards the left. So if you need the Stone Sword to have the highest DPS with all the enemies on the right, and new players can't even get the sword in the first place because it's a white bag and it's rare and it's from the Stone Guardians and it never drops, what's this thing even doing here? Is it even that good? Okay, I know there's going to be some guy in the comments that goes, "Hey, you overlooked something." Really? You freaking come into my video and... You know what, just get out of here. What are you even doing here? Go! The Stone Sword, rather than having 3.5 range like Acclaim, has 4.0 range. Just think about that for a second. 3.5, 4.0, 3. I don't get it. 3.5, 4.0, what's the difference, right? Well, wait till we get to Sea Sword. I'm just gonna say that right now. But a difference in 0.5 in range is actually quite a bit. Not gonna lie. 3.5 is pretty short, and 4.0 kind of puts you a little bit up there. I mean, Cronus is 4.2. At least off the top of my head, it could be 4.5. Maybe it is 4... Katana's 4.2. Look at that. Anyway, the extra 0.5 range on Stone Sword makes it so that way you don't have to go as deep as another melee would. And it's that kind of luxury that I guess is worth being a white bag. Well, there's a few more things. My best example that I can think of is whenever you're circling around O2 or you're trying to get damage in on a melee, but since he has his deadly shotgun that kills everything. Unless you have an Oreo, but the whole quieting bug might still be around, I'm not sure. Having that extra 0.5 range to circle around him and get in a few shots is good. And, get this, since you do more damage per shot on Stone Sword, if you can only get, say, 3 shots in with Acclaim, or 3 shots in with Stone Sword, you're gonna pick Stone Sword because your damage per shot is greater. Just because your damage per second isn't greater doesn't mean you can't take advantage of the damage per shot. DPS, damage per second, damage per shot, I don't freaking know. The Stone Sword falls into the category of situational. Acclaim is used pretty much in everyday life. D-Blade is used for the enemies that you know you can sit on and that have lower def. Stone Sword is, well, you don't really know exactly when to use it, except in the few scenarios that I gave you. Whenever you can only get a few shots in, or if you literally cannot reach the enemy because you do not want to go deep. Or if you know you can only get a couple of shots in. Now, I'm not saying Stone Sword is bad by any means, it's still pretty good, but for being a UT that you can only get from the Stone Guardians, it's a bit underwhelming. But since weapons are attack-based, if your character was to get enough attack, there could be a point in which Stone Sword would rival the DPS of Acclaim, but I don't think that there's a character that could possibly reach that amount of attack, unless they have some sort of a buff. You can mess around in the DPS calculator to figure that out. In fact, I might go do that myself. But if anyone figures out the answer, when do the two swords eventually collide in DPS? If it's even possible, that whole theory could have just been completely false. Maybe shouldn't have put that in the video. Nah, it's fine. Now, if I were to choose between these two swords, I'd definitely go with Acclaim. I mean, it was a close battle, but Acclaim definitely wins by 2 hairs. Not 1, they're not that close, but 2 hairs, I'd say. 2 hairs. Well then, thank you guys for watching, and don't forget to stay tuned for part 3 of the Month of the Mad God Marathon, where we'll be looking at the Acclaim versus the Crystal Sword. And as always, don't forget to check out the next episode whenever I post it, which will probably be soon. Alright? See ya!